At the premiere screening of 2001 A Space Odyssey, more than 240 people walked out of the theater, confused and frustrated by the movie's ambiguities, uncertainties, and lack of explanations. In response, Arthur C. Clarke, author of the original novel that 2001 was based on, commented, "If you understood 2001 completely, we failed. We wanted to raise more questions than we answered." And that they certainly did. In today's video, I want to explore the various theories surrounding 2001 A Space Odyssey and its ambiguous ending, so spoilers ahead. I recommend watching the movie at least once to develop your own interpretation before latching onto others. But to each his own. The film begins with 15 minutes of primitive apes doing stuff. Apes hunting food, apes getting angry, apes being stupid and having a war. But what's important to remember when analyzing any Stanley Kubrick movie is that every detail matters. Take the opening shots for example, a title sequence where the Earth, Sun, and Moon all line up perfectly. This celestial occurrence was a common symbol in Zoroastrianism, the first ever monotheistic religion, which means that it only recognized one god. The symbol is said to represent the eternal struggle between light and darkness, or good and evil, which is a common theme in the religion and something that you could use to analyze the movie. The music in the scene is titled Thus Sprak Zarathustra, which is a reference to the Friedrich Nietzsche book Thus Spoke Zarathustra. This book included many of Nietzsche's ideas about the Übermensch, the Superman, someone who creates his own purpose in life and refuses to follow the pack. Already, this opens up the theory that 2001 A Space Odyssey is an adaptation of Thus Spoke Zarathustra, and the star child at the end is symbolic of the Übermensch. It goes to show just how far you can go into speculation with only one Stanley Kubrick scene. So take note of how these apes act like primitive humans, showing emotions like love, hatred, and fear, in addition to actions like violence and curiosity. The most important scene in the opening sequence is the appearance of the first monolith, this infamous black cuboid that sits at the center of every theory. Its appearance coincides with the celestial lineup, and after interacting with it, the primitive apes learn how to make tools and weapons. The most common interpretation is that the monoliths are alien technology sent to push humanity toward the next stage in their evolution. This theory is supported by both the book and the sequel movie, making it so popular. But when taking in just the context of this movie, it's not so clear what the monoliths are. Some say it's God, some say they're evolutionary checkpoints, and probably someone out there claims they're CIA agents telling Kubrick to fake the moon landing. We move on to the next section with the most iconic match-on action shot in cinema, comparing mankind's first weapon to their last, the atomic bomb. As we float around in space, the film lets us reflect on just how much time has passed, and how it has meant nothing in the evolution of mankind. Even though empires have risen and fallen, we still fight each other like apes fighting over a watering hole, this time with flags above our heads and bombs pointed at our feet. But something is about to change. Another monolith has been discovered on the moon, and the government has been trying to cover it up with rumors about an epidemic. A team is sent to investigate, and once again activate the monolith by touching it. Here's a question: did the second monolith work? It makes a loud ringing noise, and there's no scene indicative of an evolution, so some argue it rejected humanity, or perhaps it did work and the evolution came in the form of Hal, a sentient being created by sentient beings. Either way, what it objectively does do is send a transmission toward Jupiter, the location of the next monolith. And so, 18 months later, humans embark on the Jupiter mission. Joining Frank and Dave on this mission is a HAL 9000 computer, the first conscious and supposedly perfect artificial intelligence created by humans. It's capable of no mistakes, according to itself, but this all goes awry. The question most theorized about during this section is why Hal tried to kill everyone. Was he following his programming to keep the mission confidential, or did he just malfunction? Did Hal make the conscious decision to eliminate Frank, and if so, what caused him to snap? There's many theories about this that you can check out on YouTube, but of course, I'm advocating that you watch the movie yourself. Pay close attention to every clue and make up your own mind. Some things to get your mind rolling. Hal calls this game of chess a checkmate despite the fact that Dave could keep going for a couple more moves. So was he just testing Dave's intelligence, practicing manipulation, or straight up malfunctioning? The Twin 9000 computer back on Earth doesn't find fault with the ship. So was Hal in error? Was he lying intentionally? Was he testing the crew? Or did he think it was necessary to eliminate Frank and Dave in order to maintain mission secrecy? These are the questions that make 2001 so fun to theorize about and rewatch. And of course, the answers are up to you. In my personal opinion, it doesn't really matter why Hal went berserk. What's important here is that humanity had to fight something we created, and we won. The true meaning of 2001 is still to come in the last act. The final part of the film, Jupiter and Beyond the Infinite, is by far the most ambiguous and prone to theorizing. After making contact with the third monolith, Dave goes on an acid trip. You could make 100 different theories about what all of this strange imagery means, but there's not one single right answer. I personally believe this is some sort of enlightenment, seeing all the mysteries of the universe solved in a way we humans can barely comprehend. When it's over, Dave ends up in a room. It has strange decor from all different time periods and cultures of human history, though Victorian seems to be the main standout here. Dave quite literally watches himself age over time. Many people have contemplated the meaning behind this room, and the most common theory links back to the aliens. If aliens are the cause behind the monoliths, then maybe this room is a human zoo where they monitor Dave's behavior for the rest of his life. I personally have a different theory. I think Dave only spent 8 minutes in this room, and we watched all of it. Dave didn't age over time, but he quite literally jumped through time toward older versions of himself. When Dave reaches out to the monolith, like man reaching out to God, it is representative of humanity's next evolution. We have learned to control time in the same way we control space. The Star Child is the first four-dimensional being, with control over space and time. Of course, there are plenty of other theories excluding these two, but they all link back to the Star Child, the final scene in the film. Originally, the Star Child was meant to destroy the nukes floating around Earth, but this ending was cut because it was too similar to Kubrick's previous film, Dr. Strangelove. Instead, we get an ambiguous shot of the Star Child floating through space. What does it symbolize? Could be anything from the next stage in our evolution to the God of the universe. There's no clear answer, and that, in and of itself, is the answer. Ambiguity, the absence of meaning where we attempt to find it, will always lead us to create our own meaning. The universe is full of questions, and not even Stanley Kubrick knows the answers, so maybe it's time we all started theorizing. And that's what 2001: A Space Odyssey was meant to do.